Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Johnny's Ambassadors Expert Webinar Series for Teens. Woo! We are so excited to have you with us here today, and we have an extra special guest in a day that I think it is perfectly appropriate because today, marijuana enthusiasts around the world sadly celebrate what they call 420 Day. We're at 420 on April 20th. People go and use marijuana. So it's perfectly appropriate that we have an alternative event for you today, something incredibly fun and substance-free and a lot healthier for you. So in just a moment, I will introduce our special speaker. But first, this session is being recorded. There are handouts, which Harriet will refer to, that we will also send to you at the end and will be available on this page if you are watching the video. They are in your control panel. We will be going about 45 minutes, and at the end, Harriet will take your questions for about 15 minutes. So don't wait. If you think of one, go ahead and type it into the question box so that you don't forget it, and I will read those in the order that they are received. Without any further ado, here is our incredible speaker for more than 25 years. Harriet Turk has blazed a trail helping leaders, students, and organizations discover how to reach their full potential and be more successful. Her professional experience over the last 2 decades in the worlds of education and business are incredibly unique. Harriet developed and implemented multi-million-dollar leadership and alcohol and drug prevention programs. And today, she's a sought-after speaker, consultant, and coach, and her areas of expertise are resilience, dealing with stress and anxiety, improving school and work culture, and living your best life. And here to tell us how to do that is Harriet Turk. Harriet, thank you for being one of Johnny's ambassadors.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks, Laura. And hello, everybody. So excited to be here, especially on this day, April 20th. One of the reasons why I became a speaker and started working in alcohol and drug prevention was way back in the dark ages of the 80s. There were so many speakers about, drug prevention, but they all came from the premise of being a recovering addict or a recovering alcoholic. And they were usually like NFL players or celebrities or some kind of somebody with a title. And one day I thought, as I was sitting at a conference listening to a speaker, what about somebody like me? I've never used any kind of illegal drug, and I'm never going to be in the NFL, and I'm never going to be Miss America. So what about me? And that is what channeled my work in alcohol and drug prevention and being a speaker to try to encourage everyone to live a healthy lifestyle. And it's hard because we are affected by so many forces, and it could be just friends, it could be family, it can be strangers, it can be just curiosity. And I've always been curious about what it feels like to use drugs. I mean, why wouldn't you be curious about that? Well, the deal is, when I was in first grade, we took a field trip to a police station. And I remember seeing this picture, and it was a girl to the side, and she was naked, and she had sores all over her body. And I just tugged on the policeman's sleeve, and I said, "Excuse me, what happened to that girl?" And he leaned down, squatted down to me, and he said, "She was on drugs, and she thought there were spiders crawling all over her body, so she scratched her skin off." At that moment, there was something that clicked, something that changed in me. And since I was 6 years old, I knew I was never going to use an illegal drug. Have there been times when it would have been easier? Absolutely. Have there been times when, yeah, I'm around it because some friends? Yes. However, every single time that I've ever been around illegal drugs, I have removed myself because I'm not so sure that I want to be in a situation where people are doing illegal activities. And I know that in some states, marijuana use is not illegal, but in my mind and in my soul, I know that I will always be drug-free because I have made that choice. And it's something that I can live with, and it's something that I hope others continue to live with as well. Yes, I have seen tragedy and been a part of tragedy because of alcohol and drugs, but at the same time, I can remove myself from that situation. And what I've had to do is really figure out who I am in the process, who I am, where it is I want to go, what do I want to do with my life. And I started doing that really young. I thought that I wanted to be a teacher, and in some ways I am a teacher, but in other ways I do other things. I've had a lot of different kind of jobs, and I hope that some of the stuff that we do tonight, I hope that it will encourage you to also find your path and figure out what you do well and how you can make a difference in other people's lives. So I have a question. What makes a Big Mac a Big Mac? What makes a Big Mac a Big Mac? A Big Mac is a hamburger. It has a lot of bread. It has a lot of cheese. It has onions, lettuce, like most other hamburgers. But there's one thing about a Big Mac that is different, and that is its special sauce. Without the special sauce, it's just a hamburger. So I wonder if you even know what is your special sauce. And if you don't know, I would like to encourage you to figure out what is your special sauce? What makes you unique? What makes you different than everybody else? And when I've asked that question to teenagers in schools and leadership retreats, a lot of times I get negative things back. But tonight I want you to look at, what do you do well? What makes you unique? What makes you different? What draws people to you? People don't care that a Big Mac has 560 calories. They want the Big Mac. It's unique. It's something they love. Same thing with you. You are unique, and a lot of people love you, even sometimes when you feel like you're all alone. You are unique. And so I want you to think about, what do you do well? And I know that I was in leadership throughout high school and college, and people would say, you're a leader, and you'd be great for this project because you're a leader. And I never knew what I did well. People just told me I was a leader. So it took me a long time to figure out, what do I do well? So I want you to think about, what do you do well? And if you don't know what you do well, stop and listen to what people say to you. What do other people say when they start talking about your skills, your talents, your abilities? What are things that people compliment you on? Because a lot of times people will say things like, oh man, I wish I could do blank just like you, or you're so good at blank. And you're like, what? That's so easy. Or what are you talking about? No, I'm not. But yes, people see qualities in you that you don't know about, or that you've never thought about, because it's a part of who you are. Because it's a part of your whole DNA and you've had it your whole life, you don't even realize that you've got talents and skills and abilities that other people wish they had. So what I would love for you to do is, whenever you go through this handout, or whenever you have a discussion with your friends or with your group that you're with tonight, I want you to think about, what do people say to you? What do people say that you do well? What do they admire in you? And there's two different kinds of skills that people have. Soft skills, that would be like, well, I'm nice, or I'm trustworthy. It's all the little adjectives that deal with kindness and reaching out to people. Those are soft skills. But what do you do well that's a hard skill? Do you speak a foreign language? Do you know CPR? What are some hard skills that you have that other people don't seem to know about? Are you fabulous with computers? Do you know a lot about social media? Those are hard skills that you could put on a resume, that you could use in your path as you grow up. So I want you to think about, what do you do well? What do other people tell you that you do well? And what are soft skills that you have, and what are hard skills? And when I was doing this a long time ago, I was told to do a line down the middle, and on one side, have, and on the other side, want. Because there are things that we may not have right now, but we want them in the future. For example, I have always wanted to learn sign language, always. That would be a great hard skill. I'm sure you have things that you want to do. But you know what we also do? We also talk about what we want to do a lot of times, or some skills that we want to develop within us, but we put it off, and we put it off, and we put it off. And we say, one day I'll do this. Something happened to me that really woke me up. I have a friend named Eric, and we were talking one day, and he was talking about working out because he loves to work out. And one day I said to him, you know, I really want to start this Navy SEAL boot camp. I really want to do it. I want to get in shape, and it's hard and it's tough and it's going to challenge me, but it's going to be awesome. He said, man, that sounds great. A couple weeks later, met up with Eric, and he said, hey, how's that Navy SEAL boot camp going? I was like, oh, I hadn't started yet, but I'm going to, and it's going to be great. I cannot wait. Third time, we're having a conversation. He said, hey, tell me about that boot camp. What's it like? He said, and I said, oh, you know, I haven't started yet, but I'm going. And before I could finish, Eric butted in and said, when? When are you going to start? Because 3 times I've asked you, and 3 times you said, oh, one day I'm going to, or oh, I'm going to, and I can't wait. But you've not made any plans, any concrete plans to actually go to boot camp. And at that point, I knew that I was going to be accountable to Eric, because he was going to continue to ask me until I went. Why didn't I go? In the beginning, I wanted to, but I was afraid. But then when I had his encouragement and his accountability, then, or his ability to keep me accountable, then I realized, yeah, I need to go. And it was awesome. And for a while, I even taught boot camp. And that's a skill. A lot of people don't or can't do things like that. What do you want to do in your life? What do you want to really try to do? But you know, a lot of times we have systems in place. A lot of times we have action plans. I mean, people are always talking about leadership and action plans and systems and structure and, you know, goals and objectives. But why don't we do it? Why don't we actually implement what we write down and say that we're going to do? Well, I think some of it stems from, we have not ever looked at why we're not implementing things. For a while, there was a girl that saw me speak 8 times in 1 year. She was like, oh, I just love going to conferences. I love hearing speakers. And I said, well, what do you remember about mine? And she started to tell me some things. And I said, well, what have you put into practice? And she just stood there. And we do that a lot of times, where we go and we hear all these things, or we go and we learn all these strategies, and we learn about systems, but we don't actually put it into practice. One of the big reasons that I have found is that we're scared. We know that things are going to change if we actually implement the plans, the structure, the goals, the objective. So I want to encourage you that when you set some goals for yourself, or when you decide that you want to learn some new skills, that you have someone that will hold you accountable, and you have someone that will actually help guide you in the process, so you don't miss out on some things that you want to do in your life. Another reason why people don't implement a lot of things that they want to do, even though they have all the information to do it, is that they've got so many people that are telling them they can't, or so many people that are telling them that they are not good enough to do something, or they laugh at their dreams, that people will say, well, you know, the Gallup organization, and they do tons of research and human interest research, and they found that 70% of people concentrate on the negative versus the positive. 70%. That is a huge amount. That means only 30% of the population will look at something positive versus negative. initially. They will believe something negative about themselves more than they will something positive. Man, when I speak at places and I get evaluations, let's say that there's 1,000 people in the audience. 999 people say that they enjoyed my presentation. But that one evaluation that tells me that they hated me, one evaluation can ruin my entire night. And I start concentrating on the negative. 999, that's pretty good odds, pretty good evaluations. Why do we remember the negative? It's so much easier, and I don't know why. It's just so much easier to think of the negative. And yeah, we've got voices all around us that will put us down. But if you're going to be successful in life, you have got to get fierce. You've got to rise up, because if you don't honor and respect yourselves, why should anyone else honor and respect you? I'm going to say that again. If you don't honor and respect yourselves, why should anyone else honor and respect you? You have got to be your biggest cheerleader, because yes, there will be people, and sometimes it's your family that will just push you down, and all these things are going in your head and you just start going down, down, down. But I want you to remember that no matter what anybody says to you, no matter if you think you've got everybody in your life that is pushing you down, I want you to just keep at least one part of your soul open to hearing what's positive about yourself, to know that you are worthy and you do matter. But what happens so often is we concentrate on the negative. So I want to encourage you to stop concentrating on who you are not and start developing who you can be. There's no limit to what you can be or what you can do in your life when you have the desire. Now, that does not mean that you can achieve every single dream that you have. And this gets real controversial. There's a lot of people that don't appreciate this part of my program. But I want you to hear what I'm saying. Just because you believe in yourself does not mean you are going to achieve everything in your life. It takes talent, it takes determination, it takes attitude, it takes practice and hard work. But even then, sometimes you're not going to win the prize, even though you've put in the work. And those are the hard times, because we think, what's wrong? You know, I did what everybody told me to do. I've worked hard. I've tried. I believed in myself. Why am I not winning? That's life. Sometimes you're going to win and sometimes you're not. And sometimes you cannot control what is happening. I have a friend who wanted to be a Navy SEAL his entire life. All he ever talked about was being a Navy SEAL. From the time we were little kids, he wanted to be a Navy SEAL. He did everything that he could do to get the skills and the abilities up to par that being a Navy SEAL requires. He's not a Navy SEAL. He's never been a Navy SEAL. And the reason is his eyesight was not good enough. Now, he could believe in himself, but he's never going to change that standard that the Navy has set for the SEALs. He's never going to be able to be a SEAL. It doesn't mean that he's a loser. It means that this was just not for him. And you can change your path and go a different way. And it doesn't mean that you lose. It means you just got to try something new. So I want you to know that even though you believe in yourself, sometimes you're not going to achieve everything, but it doesn't mean you don't go for it. And that's what happens so often, is we don't go for it because we're scared of losing, because we are in a society that continually tells you win, win, win. That's what makes you successful, is if you win. No. What makes you successful is that you are human. What makes you successful is that you are alive. What makes you successful is that you have abilities that can impact and influence yourself and other people. You have talent and abilities that have not even been tapped into yet. So open up your heart and open up your soul to who you are and where it is that you want to go, and understand that when you believe in yourself, it helps, but it doesn't cement that you're going to be a winner in terms of winning a prize or a ribbon or an award or, a title. But you're still a winner because you're human. You are significant because you're a human. You are successful because you're alive. And it doesn't equate, success does not equate with money. Significance does not equate with stature. You are significant because you matter. And if you don't get anything else out of this presentation, on the handout, I did this quote that I really had to start to learn to live by. And it just says, life is not passing you by because you cannot do certain things. Life is passing you by because you're obsessing about what you can't do. You're obsessing about what you can't do rather than looking at what you can. If you look at all the things that are good about you, what are your strengths? And then what are your weaknesses? More often than not, when I ask people to do that exercise, their weaknesses just are, they take up the whole paper. And their strengths, they may have one or two, or maybe 10. You have so many more strengths than you understand, and you don't understand it because it's a part of who you are. So that's why I said in the very beginning to ask other people or hear what other people say about you, about what your skills and abilities are, because then you can maybe think, well, maybe I should go in this direction, or maybe I can open up my thoughts to doing something that I've never thought about. But what we do is we sabotage ourselves. We are in an information overload society. We have access to so many resources. We could do anything in a matter of seconds by Googling it. But just because you learn everything, that's not enough. Stop trying to put so much information into your brain, because what it can do is overwhelm you, and then you just shut down. How to stop self-sabotage? Stop trying to put so much information into your brain. Instead, start capitalizing on what you do know right now, or choose one thing. Because I know that I do this all the time in my own life, where I'm interested in this and I'm interested in that and I'm interested in this. And what happens sometimes is I just get overwhelmed, or I try so hard to do so much that I end up shutting down. There's so many choices and I get overwhelmed. Stop trying to put in so much, but then start putting what's good in your life. Start putting what's good. Like if you want to do something, or for instance, like if I want to lose weight, then I can't go around and eat a whole chocolate cake. I have to start putting what's good inside of me. What is healthy? What can I do to start to put things in that are great? What can you do to actually start your journey and put you on the path that you want to go? Not what other people say to you, not what other people think that you should do, but what is that you want to do. Start your path and put good things in, and then eliminate all the excuses that we come up with. I was getting my hair cut the other day, and Gypsy is the girl that cuts my hair. And we were talking about different possibilities for me in my career. And she just stopped me and she goes, do you know that every single time I've given you an avenue, every single time I've told you something that you should be doing, you turn around and go, yeah, I know, but. Yeah, I know, but I can't because da-da-da. Well, I remember when I took an improv class, one thing that I was continually taught, that in improv, instead of saying yes, but, they say yes, and. Yes, and I need help. on how to get there. Yes, and I would love for someone to guide me. You know, look at and versus but. Eliminate the excuses. Now, how can you get control? How do you live when there's so much that overwhelms us? Well, on a handout I've got, get a clue. Start to think about things that you can control. What can you actually control? You may not be able to control certain things in your life, but there are certain things that you can control. If I want to lose weight, I don't eat chocolate cake, I can control that choice. I can live healthy. You can do certain things if you look at what's in your control and concentrate on those things. If your life starts to get out of control, instead of complaining about everything that's going wrong in your life, look for the lessons. What are the lessons that life is trying to teach you right now? Because we don't become successful and win awards and do all the things that we're supposed to do or that we want to do because we are always winning and everything's great. No. You learn the lessons during adversity. You learn the lessons when you can't get what you want, when you don't know where to go. Those are lessons that you learn and you build on for the next time. But we sabotage ourselves all the time. Look for the lessons that life is teaching you. Understand that there's a season for everything. There's a season for you to work hard, and there is a season for you to reap the benefits. Understand that when you are hitting rock bottom in your life, or understand that when you feel like you just cannot go on, there's always an out. And understand that this could just be a season of trial, but you will triumph if you keep going. Now, sometimes you do need a break. Absolutely. I love to get a big bag of Ruffles and get up in my bed and watch movies, not wash my hair and just sit and watch movies for days. After the third day, though, I'm pretty sick of myself and I'm sick of Ruffles. So you've got to have those breaks, but then you got to get back up and understand that you've got to keep moving if you're going to do what you want to do in life. And E, encourage yourself. It is so easy for us to encourage other people. I have a mantra where I am fabulous in other people's lives, but sometimes I don't encourage myself, or sometimes I don't look at what I could do because I'm so intent on looking at the negative. Well, encourage yourself just like you would a friend. Get a clue. Something that I have put together, and it's something that I use all the time. What's in my control? What are the lessons? Understanding that this is only a part of my life and encouraging myself to keep going forward. You can change your situation. You can reduce stress. You can create a plan, and you can ask for help. That last one is the hardest one, asking for help. But there has never been a time in my life that I have achieved something on my own without any help whatsoever. And in the handouts, I did this little circle thing that I learned a long time ago, and it was actually about fundraising that I learned it. The center circle, that's you. And if you look at the sheet, you'll see what I'm talking about. If you look at the center circle, that's you. But then there's spokes, lines out of that circle. And that could be your family, your friends, people that you have contacts with. And then there's another circle. And that's people that they can connect you with. And those circles never end. They just build and build and build. And that's what networking is all about. That's what asking for help can get you. It can lead you to resources. It could lead you to great fundraising. It could lead you to a path of career, because just about every job I've ever had, it's not been the knowledge that I have. It's been someone who's connected me. It's not what you know, it's who you know. We've heard that so often, and a lot of times that's true. Asking for help. Every single person on this planet needs help. And the times when you think you're the only one, you're not. Someone else has either experienced what you're going through or understands what you're going through or knows someone who knows what you're going through. So I want to encourage you to start creating plans for your life, understanding that your goals can be written in pen, your vision for your life, write it in pen. But the steps to get there, the steps to achieve those goals, write those in pencil. Because I guarantee you, what you think is going to happen in your life sometimes gets all off course. We think A to B. If I do these things between A and B, then I'm going to be successful or I'm going to reach my goals. No, usually A to B is like this kind of path, lots of detours. How you're going to get there, write those in pencil and be prepared to change. But we self-sabotage because we think, oh, it's too hard, or if I had more abilities, then I could do this. But no, you can do it. You just have to stick with it. And you have to understand that this journey of life is going to have some obstacles. And the winners are the ones who do not give up on themselves. I mean, you may give up on a plan. You may give up on something that you thought you really wanted, but you're not quitting. You're just going in a different path. I don't like that thing where it's like winners never quit, quitters never win. Well, sometimes I need to close the door because it's not serving me. And people go, oh no, never give up, never give up. Well, sometimes I might need to and change my path. Now, it doesn't mean that you give up on yourself. And yes, you have got to be committed to your goals. And yes, you have got to work hard. And absolutely, you don't make a commitment to something and then just walk out the door because it gets hard. But there are times when sometimes you think, you know what? I've done every single thing I know to do. I've asked for help. I have worked on this and I still can't get to where I want to go. Well, it's okay to close that door. And if other people tell you otherwise, listen to these words. It's okay to say, you know what, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a goal, you just close the door. If you know you have done every single thing possible to make a relationship or a goal work, then you can walk away with a clear head. And this part is hard because when I've been talking about how we don't recognize what's so great in ourselves, or we self-sabotage the parts of us that are great, own your brilliance. Excuse me. Own your brilliance. Understand that you have got light inside of you. Don't hide it. And I know that when I was in high school, shoot, so many times in my life, not just high school, I would have on an invisible mask. I would have on an invisible costume and I would do what other people would want me to do, or I would just try to please them because I'm a people pleaser. The most freeing time of my life was when I took off that invisible mask and I decided, you know what? This is who I am. Let people see who you really are. Is everyone going to like you? No. Doesn't mean that they're going to like you when you're fake. Doesn't mean they're going to like you when you're real. Sometimes people are not going to like you. I had a counselor tell me one time, not everybody liked Jesus. So why do you think everyone's going to like you? Whoops. Everyone's not going to like you. But if you take off your mask and you let people see who you really are, you will shine and you will also have peace inside of you because you'll know that you're truly being authentic. But, we have been conditioned our whole life that if we concentrate on ourselves, we are being selfish, we are conceited, we're not giving. But I want to encourage you to look at that self-care. When I was a little kid, I used to love to go to vacation Bible school. I went to all kinds of vacation Bible schools with my friends, with my own church. Loved it, loved the singing. And there was one song that I remember, and I'm not going to sing it, especially because even last night my husband said, you really need to stop singing. You don't sing well. Thanks. Well, the song was Joy. And joy was Jesus first, yourself last, and others in between. You've got joy, you've got Jesus first, yourself last, and others in between. Now, it doesn't matter if you believe in Jesus or not. It could be Buddha, it could be anything. If you put that before yourself, you don't understand there's higher powers. But you don't put yourself last. You don't put others before you. You've got to take care of yourself. You've got to take care of yourself. You've got to have the breaks for yourself. You've got to do things that only you may want to do. And it's okay. But sometimes we're conditioned that we don't matter as much as other people. But I'm here to tell you, yes, you do. And there would have been a lot less heartache in my own life if I had remembered that I mattered just as much as somebody else. We've got to stop wasting time. We need to stop wasting money. We need to stop wasting resources. We need to stop wasting our headspace on things that don't matter or the people that don't matter. How many times have you held on to a relationship? Well, maybe you just should have let it go. How many times do we hold on to things or we obsess about things because we want something so badly and it just won't work out? Eliminate those things. And that's easier said than done, I know. But you have to realize that we waste so much time when we concentrate on the things that are a lost cause. I've learned the older I get to choose fine dining over the buffet. What do I mean by that? Choose quality over quantity. I have a small circle of friends, but I have hundreds of acquaintances. I have a small circle of friends. Before I used to want, everybody to like me. But what would happen is there were a lot of shallow relationships. But I have a small circle of friends. I have quality now versus quantity. When I was younger, loved to go to the buffet. You could eat as much as you want. You could have as much as you want. Man, a fine dining restaurant, the quality people that we put in our lives, wow, that can really change the trajectory of our lives. Quality over quantity. But we crave feedback. We crave feedback. And we don't believe in our own abilities because we keep saying, tell me what you think I do well, or tell me what is going on where, tell me what is going on so that I know, that I do something well. Sorry, my cat is walking across the couch. So, we have got to believe that we matter and that our abilities are ours, whether we get the feedback that we're craving or not. If you put something out on social media and you only get like 18 likes, it doesn't mean that your life is not worthy. Gosh, we crave feedback. We look for followers. And really, we should just concentrate on the quality of our life. What are you doing to improve the quality of your life? If you're just talking about what you're gonna do one day, you're gonna lose out on your life. So start remembering why you want to do the things you do and work for it. Listen to what other people say, but don't let those voices take away from who you are. We can focus on ourselves and not be selfish. But yes, if we focus on ourselves all the time and we don't focus on other people, that's not okay either, because you do learn so much about yourself when you give. And there's a chant that I do with all my groups. It doesn't matter if they're in kindergarten or if they are adults. I always do this one chant. And you have a handout that has the chant on it. And the chant came about because my girls one day were showing us their yearbook. And they were showing us friends that I didn't know. And it was interesting because they were saying things like, comments like, oh man, Olivia, she's the best athlete in our school. And if I could be just like Olivia, my life would be great. Or they would say, wow, she's the most popular, the most beautiful girl in our school. And if I could look like she does, things would be awesome. It was making me really sad because I felt like my girls were great. They're beautiful, they're wonderful, but they were looking at other people, sorry, and thinking that everybody else was better than them. So that night, came up with a little chant. It's a chant that I make them do still now, and they're adults. Photo. Sorry. Even now, when I make them do the chant, they don't like it, but I don't care. And it goes like this. I am somebody special. If you don't like me, tough, because I am cool enough, smooth enough, and doggone it, I am hot enough to be who I want to be. Now, when I say hot enough, sorry, I am not talking about physical beauty. I'm not talking about, I am talking about confident enough that you can put your shoulders back and your head held high, and you can walk into any room at any time and know that you are just as good as everybody else. You are just as significant. You are just as successful because you're human and you matter. Now, sure, somebody may have more awards than you, but it doesn't matter. You are significant. You matter. You are hot. You are on fire with confidence. And sometimes you have to practice that over and over and over again, because there's some of you that are going to do that chant. You're going to believe every word, and there's other people who are going to do it, sorry, and not believe much of it. It takes practice. So I want to encourage you to look at that chant, to maybe put it up on your mirror, and every day say something positive to yourself. Because when you concentrate on yourself, you are able to focus on what it is that you want to do in your life. You're able to look at what your abilities are, or talents, or develop what your talents and abilities are. And you can live your best life if you just remember how much you matter. So I am so excited that I was able to be with you tonight, and I'll open it up for questions if I stop coughing. But I hope that you've learned something. So, hey, Laura.
Thank you so much. I love this. Everyone has this chant. I love this first part. And if you don't like me, tough. I like that.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And I hope everybody does put that on their mirror, because that's how you have made me feel. I am inspired.
Thank you.
And I hate it when I choke when I'm speaking. So don't worry about it. We don't care. That was amazing. There are actually some questions, so I'm glad that we still have a little bit of time.
Okay.
Everyone has, everyone online, you can put your questions. There are 3 here in the question box. If you have some, or whoever is doing your chat, have them put them in the question box for the group. And I will ask Harriet in our last few minutes that we have here today. Okay. The first one is, in the 20 years that you have been working with youth, why do you think they use substances? I love that question. With all the great advice that you've given them, what would you recommend they do instead?
Well, goodness, why do I think they use substances? Because they're trying to cope. They don't look for other opportunities. It's easy to to grab a substance, to change. But what I've noticed with everyone that does that is the problem is still there. The problem is still there. You're not escaping it except for just a few minutes. What do they do instead? They ask for help. What do they do instead? They get involved in something else. You know, what do they do? If there's 9 people around you and they're doing drugs, if you stay with those 9 people constantly, you might be the 10th one to use drugs. But if you go and you find another group, if you go and you find people who believe like you do, it's so much easier. So find an activity, find your people, and learn to cope. That sometimes you may be alone. Doesn't
Yeah,
make
that's
you
tough.
less
I
than.
mean, sometimes people have a group of friends who change
Exactly.
and they move in a direction that you don't necessarily want to go, but many times they do it because everyone else is doing it or everyone wants to try, and they haven't developed that self-confidence that you talk about,
Exactly.
um, and the self-efficacy. How do you have like boundary setting skills for teens? I wish, that Johnny would have learned, that I would have taught him better boundary setting skills so that when someone says, here, hit this or whatever they're doing, how do you let that self-confidence come out?
Gosh, it's so hard sometimes because we want people to like us. But I really believe that there is no way on God's green earth that I would go down or go over the Golden Gate Bridge unless there were guardrails on either side, or any bridge, you know, within the boundaries of right and wrong. And there are definite boundaries of right and wrong, whether it's legal or not. Within the boundaries, you've got freedom to be yourself. It's when you go over on the boundaries that some things happen that probably shouldn't. And so when you are true to your values, when you're true to yourself, when you look at the guardrails as protectors and not a prison, things are a lot easier. Now, my son, perfect example of how he could always look at the positive side. When he was a little bitty boy, I told him to go to his room. He had been bad. I said, go to your room. Do not turn on your TV. That's a whole nother issue. That was his dad. But I said, do not turn on your TV. And he turned around and looked at me. He was probably 4 years old. Turned around and looked at me and he said, but I can play with my toys and I can look out the window. I mean, he immediately looked at what he could do versus what he couldn't. That's what we need to do, is look at these as protectors rather than a prison. So
I love that. And that's a great analogy. The guardrails are there to serve you and
yeah,
to keep you from hurting yourself. And I guess
absolutely.
that means that we have to not bust our own boundaries
Yeah.
and not be our own boundary busters.
Yeah, because when I have busted, my boundaries, or when I have done things when I knew it really wasn't the right thing to do for me, there's so much regret, or there's shame, or there's, I'm not able to be as confident because I have dishonored myself. So,
Great point. Okay, the next question is, what do you do if your goals and your abilities don't match? Do you find it's easier to up your game or change your direction? That's a good question.
I think you first have to try to up your game. You work on whatever it is that you want to do to up your game, and then maybe you learn a little different path. I always wanted to be a singer when I was little. I would dream about singing, and I would, visualize myself on the big stage. Well, I'm on big stages all the time now as a speaker. I'm giving a message, I'm doing what I love, but I'm not singing. And you'll be happy about that. So, you just have to change what it is. I mean, do I wish I could sing? Oh, God, absolutely. But you up your game by doing what you can do and what you realize you are really good at. Concentrate on your strengths, change the
So you
direction.
didn't take voice lessons then. You didn't
No,
say, "Oh, I really want to be a singer, so I'm going to keep working on it." At what point do you just realize, okay, I need to really focus on my talents, and what about this being on stage thing can I still accomplish?
Yeah. I mean, probably I didn't take voice lessons because nobody ever told me I sang well, you know. So,
I really want to hear it.
no, no,
No,
man.
even the Sunday school jingles, those would be good.
That's right. Yeah. Well, in the
Uh,
car.
okay, and then there's another question here about self-sabotage. It says, what do you do when you know what to do, but you think something is too hard?
You try it anyway.
I'm kind of thinking about your diet example, like, you know, if you need to lose weight, that you don't eat as much and you exercise. So
Mhm.
why do we do that when we know what to do, but it's just so hard? How do you keep yourself on
Well,
track, I guess?
you know, I always say get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You know, we love comfort zones. We love comfort. We love warmth. It's a cocoon. We like it. But you grow when you break out of that shell, when you break out of the boundaries, when you really go for something. Yes, there's adversity. So what? You know, that's when you grow. How do you do it? You just do it anyway. It's hard, but you try it. Or you, like I said, you know, network, get people to help you because somebody could probably cut your learning curve by a huge amount because they have paved the way before we've tried something. So,
And then when you do succeed, you feel like $1,000,000.
absolutely. Absolutely. So,
Well, the rest of the comments here are great job. Thank you so much for sharing. Excellent, very motivating. Thank you, Harriet. And I will simply add my thanks and my appreciation for the gift of your time and your talent to all of our teens and participants here at Johnny's Ambassadors. Thank you so much, Harriet, for sharing your day with us.
oh, sure. Absolutely. Thanks so much. Y'all have a great night.
All right, talk to you soon. Take care.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.